Violence is already beginning.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Barely 15 months into his first term as president, Joe Biden has crashed the stock market, provoked a food shortage, opened our borders to millions of illegal aliens, presided over historic rises in murder, inflation, and drug ODs, as well as a corresponding plunge in overall life expectancy, permanent looting, Latin American levels of wealth inequality, tampons in the boys' bathroom, $7 a gallon gasoline, unprecedented race hatred, homelessness, mental illness, and above it all, across the Pacific Ocean, a Chinese government that's laughing out loud as we destroy ourselves for no reason. That's some of what Joe Biden has done so far. He promised a return to normal. He's delivered war and economic collapse. Joe Biden is old enough, unfortunately, that he'll almost never, certainly, be held accountable for any of what he's done. But his party should be. How will any Democrat outside West Hollywood ever get elected in this country again? In a fully functioning democracy, that would be an honest question. But Biden has a plan. Torque up the fear, ban complaining, criminalize the opposition. Just 24 hours ago.
Dude, this is awesome. Where is this, like, dude, to live in Tucker Carlson's, like, brain that's full of holes is such a unique experience. Like, where is this happening? Who's he talking to?
Joe Biden, the president of the United States, told us that people who don't support him are the single biggest security threat that faces this country. Not Al-Qaeda, not the Chinese military, not the Mexican drug cartels, not even Russia, which we are told daily.
Dude, I love that. You know what Tucker Carlson just did? By the way, he does this every night, and he does this so perfectly. Tucker Carlson is my Twitter quote retweeters, okay? Here's why. I'll say something like, oh man, the Nintendo Joy-Con is the worst invention of all time. And then someone will quote retweet me and go, oh, really? Can't believe this piece of shit said that when slavery was the worst invention of all time. And that's exactly what Tucker Carlson is doing right now to Joe Biden. He's like, wow, Joe Biden said, like, people who disagree with me are America's biggest threat. Not China, not Al-Qaeda. Wow. It's like, dude, what are you supposed to always be like, okay, Jack, I'm going to do a list right now. I'm going to do a listicle right now. I'm going to do all of America's biggest villains, Jack. He's doing that. He's doing the like mentally ill Twitter uncharitable quote retweet shit, but to Joe Biden.
Daily is the wellspring of all evil. No, you're the biggest threat because you don't vote Democrat. As Joe Biden put it, quote,
which, by the way, I'm sure he didn't even say that, but
MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history. The most extreme,
he's right.
The worst.
If you said that, he's right, by the way.
Worse than the Nazis. Worse than anyone ever. That's you. You're an existential threat to the country you were born in. It's hard to believe Joe Biden said that, but he
can't turn around and be like, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that about MAGA. Are they worse than the Nazis? It's like, well, you're the Nazi, so side by side.
He did say it, and of course some people believed him. Here's what the Supreme Court looks like tonight. You'll notice the riot-grade security fencing around the building. Why is it there? Well, it's there to protect the justices inside from the mobs that Joe Biden has
Still not watching Fox News on stream, though. I don't watch Fox News. I just see it in this stream. I had no idea who the fuck this was before the stream. Still not watching Fox News on stream, though. Just because you're not watching Fox News does not change the reality. Like, I'm highlighting Tucker Carlson or platforming him. He is literally the most famous news broadcaster in the country. Let that sink in for a moment. If you're not from America, I want you to understand. This man and his psychotic screed has a higher view count than any other news broadcaster, okay?
Samuel Alito is a 72-year-old legal scholar whose views would have been considered ordinary, mainstream, maybe 5 years ago. Now, according to Joe Biden, he is a dangerous extremist. He's a member of a movement.
Yeah, dude, Samuel Alito, notorious for having views that were mainstream. He's never had a mainstream position. What the fuck are you talking about? There are facts that we can look at. There are numerous studies conducted on this that we can look at. And no, his perspective on the matter about overturning Roe v. Wade is literally in the minority. They are not mainstream positions, no matter how hard Republicans have tried to make them mainstream.
More threatening than any political movement in American history. What's the result? Well, today, Alito had to cancel a public appearance because there were too many threats on his life.
Aww.
Each one of those threats is, in fact, a threat to us and our country. You don't want to live in a country where Supreme Court justices cower in fear for their lives.
This motherfucker's like, oh man, I hate this. Like, I can't go to a public setting because the decisions that I have as a God King lifetime appointee to the Supreme Court of the United States will impact literally hundreds of millions of people, okay? Like at least 150 million plus, like directly. I can't believe it. He had to cancel a public appearance. Yeah, well, he doesn't have Secret Service. That's right. Supreme Court, the justices don't have Secret Service. So, of course, they have to cancel public appointments. This is what it is. Should have thought about that before he fucking overturning Roe v. Wade.
Reached the wrong conclusions. That's the definition of a failed state. Turns out we have a Justice Department that exists to prevent things like this from happening. That's the whole point. But under Joe Biden, the DOJ is too beholden to the mob to say a word about it. You can't offend Antifa. They're a vital constituency. Here's the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, appearing today to tell us what he's worried about most. Watch.
Consistent with the president's executive order on tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad, we are issuing a comprehensive environmental justice enforcement strategy. Communities of color, indigenous communities, and low-income communities often bear the brunt of the harm caused by environmental crime, pollution, and climate change.
Wait, what? He's mad at this? Sometimes I have a hard time looking at Tucker Carlson's White Power Hour and understanding what the issue is, because half the time he just shows like Democrats at their most based. Like, they're never like this. I wish the Democratic Party was more aggressive with shit like this. Like, whenever I watch Tucker Carlson, I get a better perspective on the Democratic Party. I start liking the Democratic Party. It's very weird. And the reason why I say this is because, like, I don't understand how you can watch that and if you don't have like brain disease, like severe mental illness in the form of like being a conservative, how do you look at that and go, fuck that? What a terrible thing that guy is saying. You know what I mean? Like, wow, I can't believe he said like we need to tackle the environmental crimes that impact black and brown communities harder. And you're like, can you believe he said that? What's going on? America used to be a nation where you could give smallpox-ridden blankets to the indigenous population. That's what us, the legacy Americans, did. And now you mean to tell me that we can't be fracking in black and brown neighborhoods? What's going on? Is that the argument here? Like, that's what's going on?
Well, of course. The greatest threat is global warming, which, by the way, is racist, like so many other weather patterns. That's what Merrick Garland is most...
That's not what he said, dude. Come on. That's not what he said. Oh, God, he's so good at cutting propaganda. Dude, you can't cut YouTube videos about like fucking melting your ball sack with like red light because microplastics and pollutants are in the water and it's like forcibly feminizing men and lowering T levels, and then turn around and literally when the dude is addressing that go, oh, it's just racist. What's going on? It's just racist, huh? Like weather patterns are racist now? A laughable notion. Like, that's not what he said, you idiot. They're saying environmental injustices are more likely to occur on black and brown people in black and brown neighborhoods, in poor neighborhoods, because people don't give a shit. People don't even give a shit about rich neighborhoods. We're feeding all Americans that same garbage.
Most afraid of tonight. And of course, in order to fix global warming, which is existential, whatever that means, you're gonna have to...
What does existential mean? Existential, whatever that means. I mean, what are words? This is exactly the problem with public education in America. We need to abolish public education. Back in the day, a child could go free and be free and prosper without having to learn words like existential or threat. The only threat that a child knew back then was the threat of having to read newspapers. That's why I always tell you, homeschool your children. Don't let them learn. Let them learn the true values of America, which is do your own research on Facebook.
To hand Merrick Garland and Joe Biden a lot more power over your life. Sorry, that's the only solution. Much more on that to come. But for now, here's what you should know. Merrick Garland didn't even mention the threats, the physical threats to this country's highest court, because those threats come from the left and therefore aren't really threats. See how that works? You're about to see more of it. We must rise up to force accountability using a diversity of tactics, explains the group's website. A diversity of tactics. What are those? Well, you can imagine they already include...
Is this it? Is that the diversity of tactics? If there's just such pussies, then... Dude, this is really funny. I think ContraPoints tweeted about this, actually, and was like, this queen was so on the money. Every day has felt like this since... She's right. She kind of is right. Like, this person has been dunked on a million times over, Except, like, also, she was kind of right about what was about to happen. Yeah, it's like cringe or whatever, right? Oh, man, you showed emotion. Lol, cringe. Haha, gay. We got you. But also, like, it's the appropriate reaction. I feel bad.
And so, of course, under these conditions, violence...
Dude, that's crazy. You guys see the violent crime occurring, by the way? Tucker Carlson, who his words have impact, given that he's the most popular news broadcaster. And Tucker Carlson justifies the actual state-sponsored violence. Tucker Carlson justifies that every fucking night. But to his supporters, he turns around and says, spray paint and graffiti, abortion saves lives, being written on the side of what? Some fucking church. That's real violence, because that's how fascists operate. They can kill you, they can brutalize you, they can use they can use the monopoly of violence that the state has against you, no matter how marginalized you are. And that's justifiable, but hey, you turn around and you fucking spit back, that's real violence. That's unacceptable. Insane. For the record, for hundreds of millions of women that will no longer be able to have an abortion, a medical procedure, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is state-sponsored violence. That's it. And the retaliation is what? Abortion saves lives being spray painted around next to a Catholic church? That's nothing. Okay? That's nothing. But conservatives get away with that shit all the time.